Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Why isn't it working? Okay. Looks like we're live. Morning, everyone. Still, sometimes I get caught by the 20-second delay. I think nothing's happening, but it's working in the background, and I spend the first 15 to 20 seconds going, what's going on? Is it working? You think I'd know by now. Morning, everyone, or evening for the rest of you around the world. It's a cloudy, cold-ish day here in Melbourne, Australia, on the 24th of October. The isolation is over, as Donna mentioned last week, but I didn't see her comment. Remember, guys, if you want to ask me a question, put a whole bunch of emojis on the right-hand side in the comment section, just so that I can see them. Otherwise, feel free to chat amongst yourselves. I'm happy I put up a quick video last night, and I'm happy it got the attention. I didn't know if anyone would actually watch it. Why am I saying actually over and over again? How many lies can you take before you start listening to yourself, or before you start trusting your own judgment? But I just felt like I wanted to say a little bit something like that, just like a stream of consciousness sort of thing. I think it worked out okay. But I suppose most people tend to be interested in about relationships. I kind of get it. I found that as soon as that's the biggest elephant in the room, you can ignore it and work everything else out in your life. But if you don't work out one of the biggest Achilles heels you have, then everything else, yeah, fine, work out other stuff in your life. But if the biggest obstacle isn't addressed, you get rid of the biggest obstacle, then the rest is really, really easy. Let me know how my audio is as well. Because what I believe it is if a person can really think, like in this moment, like say you're having a conversation with somebody, you're really paying attention and thinking about what's being said, how you feel, what you believe in, rather than, it's very easy to kind of, after the fact, point to history and go, she did this, I'm never doing that again. If this ever happens in the future, this is what I'm going to do, all bravely. So you're not here. You're throwing rocks at the past, and you're beating your chest about being brave up ahead, fictionally. You know, people say, like, if I had this opportunity, I would totally do this, this, and this. And then if they do get the opportunity, they're lazy, they can't do it, they don't see it, whatever. So learning from the past, yeah. But as long as if you get that moment again in the present, you can consciously reference it. It's like, no, I've been here again. I know how to reflex on that situation. So the past and women and stuff out there and whatever, but I just find that if we can actually talk about things, or we can actually process it ourselves, like the last video, me talking about lies and how you learn not to trust your own judgment. This is the thing, your judgment is that reflex in the moment. there's a feeling you get, and you need to do something. You're nervous, you're with some chicks. Someone says something that's uncomfortable. Someone says something that you righteously want to respond to and say, no, I believe this. I think this is right. I don't think you're right. What about this opinion? Knowing what to say now is all that matters, rather than constant regrets about, I should have said this, I wasted time, she did this, can you believe how bad she was? Oh, great, we can pat each other on the back now and talk about how we saw it, and it was what it was, and you may be right, but it's better being right where you are. And this is why I wanted to kind of touch on that video, and I want to try and do more of those, I think, like the last one, where what I want it to show, I'm not telling you what to do, but what I want it to show is us thinking about how we talk and think when we're in that situation. Not talking about this was wrong, this is right, what I want to do in the future, this is how I want to live. You can only be effective in this moment. So you can talk about how unhealthy you were in the past and how constantly, on Monday, I'm starting my diet. But right here, you're inert, you're hiding, and you're planning all the time. But unless you actually do something with your planning, unless you do something with, okay, this is what I believe, I feel really strong and righteous, unless that actually has an opportunity to act in a place where it needs to, where you never had the courage to before, where you regret not speaking up before, that's where it matters. So I think the videos like the last one, where I was just kind of talking about stuff, is where I feel life matters, is where you can think like that passionately and speak up for what you believe. And when you're with someone talking, or when you need to make a call on something, it's like, no, hang on, I'm thinking about it right now. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to say. I need to walk away. I'm not standing for this. You don't just sit there going, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. And then later on, when somehow you're out of the situation, it's like, I should have said this, I should have done this. And then you talk with your friends online or something, and it's like, yeah, they were idiots. It's like, no, you may have been an idiot too, because you were so passive. And I mean, I've talked about situations where women manipulate through passivity. We're not even manipulating sometimes. We're just passive. At least they're doing something. At least, I'm not saying it's noble, but unconsciously, a woman's nature can be manipulating the situation through passivity to get to a result that's desirable. We just sit there cowering, or with our mouths shut, or not moving, or not doing and acting the way we say we would. And that's part of a lot of our frustration. When a lot of guys online in videos get fired up, it's because they want to stand up for it, because they never did in that conversation, in that moment, with that girl, during that argument, during the debate. It's the missed opportunities. Thinking and knowing how to respond in that moment, and how to think and what to say. That's where life's better. In retrospect, fine, but if you never use that experience going forward, you're just constantly regretting, I suppose. Yeah, hit the bell icon, everyone. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe. As always, where is it? Talking about these two videos, my latest ones. I'll read out some of the comments, and you guys feel free to ask me a question. Yeah, Men's Health Space says, the lies start earlier, media, politics, social bribes, like you're not a man unless you do this, and relationship lies are just another form of manipulation. I think that it's really a woman's world today. So we're so used to lies being normal, we kind of don't get annoyed anymore. It's just kind of the game we play. We're playing this kind of schoolyard game, and it's quite normal because we see adults doing it now. They do it in morning shows with like a bunch of women cackling about social issues and men and women and relationships and babies and this and fear. And so we get together and we cackle about this stuff like a bunch of soccer mums. We see politicians acting like that. We see them on TV and they're clowns. And so it's all, the world resembles one big reality TV show of soccer mums going, oh, look what she did. Look what they did. Can you believe this? Oh my, OMG. You have to see this. The videos now, they force you to sensationalize and clickbait everything. And everything has to be clickbait to get attention. Oh my God, you must watch this. Did you hear what they said? So everything is a form of manipulation in the situation. It's like you have to pour kerosene on every conversation to light it up, to make it interesting, to make it passionate in a relationship. And it's definitely that kind of woman's world. It's not like a calm, no, let's keep our emotions in check. Let's talk about this. No, that's boring. It needs to sort of have this window dressing, all these bells and whistles all over it. Vero says, I'd rather leave it alone and walk away. I have no need for any drama. Yeah, me too. Black Magic 1087 says, human planning is a great habit to get into, but if you don't create opportunities for you to exercise, then your tactics will remain dormant. Yeah. You can also, well, that's kind of what there's a few situations. So for instance, you can plan and know what you should say, and then those opportunities just happen in your life. But you're right. There's some people that plan and they actually avoid even creating space for those opportunities to happen. So if you keep complaining about women and what you would say and how you would have done things differently in the past, and you're still frustrated and you kind of would want to be with women, but you don't want to because it's too hard, and you keep talking about it, I think you're better off getting it off your back, and at the very least interacting with women so you can say what you want to say, what you want to get off your chest without even going on a date. Or if you do go on a date and face those demons, feel walking away when you should. I remember the times where I took that step of walking away when it felt right. It was really good. Rather than never doing it, but in private knowing I should, and talking to your friends and writing posts and whatever it may be. The act of doing what you know is right, it is so freeing, guys, afterwards. Like, you want freedom? Acting on your ethics and your beliefs when it's righteous and when you should. Saying and doing what you should. Talk about freedom and liberation. Yeah, there's liberation in knowing what's right and who's right, wrong, what women do, what men do, what's the correct thing, what's unfair. But when you actually make it real, there's no better feeling. There's no more reality than that. And also, it shows you that next time, this feels awesome, this feels right, I want to do it again because I've seen the results. It's no longer theoretical. Before you've done it once, it can always seem a bit daunting because you're not quite sure if it's going to work out or if it's going to have the results that everyone says it's going to have. Yeah, I know it's the right thing to do, but I'm petrified because I have no guarantee, because I haven't experienced it. As I said in my last video, your lived experience is a big factor in knowing something to be true, especially for you. Not capital T true ontologically, like, you know, the sun rises, the sun sets, but what is subjectively real for you? What matters to you? Davina says, a lot of the artists were suffering. Some did not become successful within their lifetime. What's this in relation to? Just artists in general? Yeah, I suppose. That's part of the thing. I think you should do art because it's compelling and you can't not do it. if you're only doing it to achieve some sort of commercial or financial success, you're almost always going to fail. I think the great art comes out of people who did it obsessively. They're addicted to their art in a way that's that was autotelic. Is that the word? Where you do something in and of itself for its own cause? Let me see. Yeah. An activity or creative work having an end or purpose in itself. Ding says, do you think after this thing that's been going on around the world lately, there might be a new way of thinking, like a renaissance? When we come out of the current period, there would be thoughts on the sense of meaning, purpose. You would hope so, but going back to what I said, it's up to each of us individually to say, I will. Because if we all kind of passively go, yeah, I want the world to change, I want my world to change, I'm going to sit here with my arms crossed like everyone else did before, complaining and not doing anything. It's only if individuals say, right, I'm going to change my life, right, I'm going to speak up. And not waiting around for the world to hand you a bouquet of flowers like the female brain out there does. It's kind of like, yeah, I really believe and want the world to change, like these kind of Oprah memes. Without actually lifting a finger. You have to do something, because all that matters is that your life changes, and the guaranteed life that the only guaranteed way your life is going to change is that you just do things differently. Do them your way, but do them differently. Otherwise, you do them the same, they're going to stay the same. And more than likely, given the way the world is now, what's happened, they'll probably become worse or more stale because this world has changed. So what does your life, your personality, what would be the best small adjustment in your way, that's you, that you could do that could make your life better? Sam asked what camera I'm using. Today I'm using GH5 Panasonic with a Leica 15mm 1.7. And also I've got a filter over my stream too, so yeah, it's probably my oldest camera, but this isn't the camera I use on my normal videos. That I use a Canon EOS R, and don't forget I process my videos like the color grade and the way I adjust. So this isn't directly out of camera. This is through a filter. No, I haven't done a video about my equipment. I don't think it'd suit my channel. I may do another channel to do with my tech, my gear, but I don't know how often I'd upgrade that, because I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't know how I talk. I'm not your typical person that would talk about gear like everyone else. I would just talk about it in a way that I like the gear. I'm not going to talk about frequency responses and pixel peeping and the forensics of the specifications and things like that. And I don't know how interesting that'd be for people. But yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while now, because more and more people ask me about how I get things looking and sounding the way I do in my videos. And it's all just been over time, me tinkering and getting the look and sound that I want. Davina says, the lighting looks good on this one, a little less orange than the older ones. It's also not a very bright sunny day. It's a really nice balanced day. So the white balance is pretty good today. So yeah. And the reason why I started using this my previous camera, not the one I use in my video. The camera I use on my videos, the normal videos I create, when you film on that, it doesn't look as good as this straight out of the camera. But when you color grade it and try and make it look more I hate to use the word cinematic, or more kind of, the kind of polished look I have on my normal videos. It looks much better than this one. But this one, straight out of the camera, when I try and grade it the way I do with my normal videos, the image falls apart a lot. So this is much more fragile to work with. But I'm not an expert. I'm very basic. I do things by eye. All right, I'll read a few of the more notable comments from the last couple of videos. So feel free to ask me any questions in the stream. Add some emojis so I see your question. I really wanted to use a different mic today, but I just love this microphone. I just wanted to, I'll try and use a different mic next week. I think this, out of all the mics I've got, this one is the smoothest to listen to over a long period of time. So this is my favorite mic for streams now, because it's not fatiguing on your ears. Whereas other ones might be clear, but after a while it can get a bit too sharp and clear, and anyway. Bob to me 2002 regarding my video, what do you miss about your ex and what have you learnt? He says, I'm wondering if the more painful breakups can be attributed to it's nothing to do with your ex, it's a reliving of early childhood abandonment, the compounding effect of mourning the end of the relationship in addition to echoes of mirroring the unresolved pain and grief from childhood. Yep, I think that's a lot to do with that. Especially kind of, I noticed it in myself, where especially with women when I was growing up, other guys seem to kind of be just really calm about ignoring or dealing with like a woman putting you on the spot or whatever it might be, and I would freeze like a deer in headlights, and I wouldn't know how to. And I think it happens with a lot of guys because of the dominant effect of the mother figure in your childhood. I don't want to get all Freudian on you, but he continues, in which case your ex was largely an idealized projection set upon someone you barely knew in an attempt to resolve the initial wounding. Yes, it's a really good way of putting it, as in codependent narcissism relationships, yes. Or B, was it there's also the biochemical element, a withdrawal from someone you were effectively addicted to. Post-detox, the healing speeds up dramatically and clarity returns as your base rate establishes an equilibrium. Or C, the pain is more to do with lost time. These are some really good points, Bob, to me. The pain is more to do with lost time. Fear of making bad decisions, or their exposure to a side of yourself you were either avoiding or unaware was there in the first place. Yes. Again, that last point, C, the pain of lost time. As I mentioned, if you can actually speak in the moment, know what to say, you don't waste that moment. You don't waste time. You don't sit there cowering, not saying anything, staying in a relationship for months or years when you should have left. Or speaking up and then stabilizing that relationship. So it either continues or the relationship ends. But the ability to speak and in the moment not waste time by what you say and do is really important. Otherwise, the world will drag you and puppeteer you around. Women will stay or leave according to their schedule and what they want. It'll never be about you. The moment you care enough that you exist in this relationship and it's, hey, I have at least 50% of the right, not right, insistent right, insistent right to actually voice my opinion. Don't tell me I have to abide by your opinion when I have every right to. I'm one half of this at the very least. But they're really good points. Childhood issues, stuff that's unresolved. The biochemical element, like the addiction, the biology, all that kind of stuff that's hardwired, and also the lost time. the loss, the fear of the future, what you didn't say, like staying in the moment where you're inert. And the only time you're active is where it's not effective. You're thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future. So you're basically always dormant. Thank you, Alpha Gaming, for the Super Chat donation. His question or comment is, women remind me of cats. They will come to you, run away once you try and pet them, and then meow furiously when you ignore them. That's actually an astute observation, an analogy. They do. I've seen it on one or two YouTube videos that you pat the cat, it purrs, you stop patting, it turns around and goes meow. Red Rusty Hill 2, he comments on When She's Never Loved You Back, a previous video. He said, it's my opinion that modern women are incapable of loving back because they've been brought up with the Disney fantasy of Prince Charming coming and sweeping her off her feet, whisking her away to a fancy ball in his castle in a magical pumpkin carriage. He provides everything, does everything, and she has to do nothing but exist. Yeah, I think that kind of old school fantasy is disappearing, but I think there's like a new version. They just see women on TV. It's actually worse. At least back in the day, the Cinderella fantasy, at least when they watched it and saw it, Cinderella actually acted a little bit respectable and she had a nicer personality. And whatever her shortcomings are or her typical female characteristics, a guy could be with a person that was nice enough that expected something, and you could decide, okay, yeah, she expects all this stuff and wants this stuff as a woman. She wants me to provide. I've got to be Prince Charming. I've got to be rich. But she's at least agreeable. She's a nice personality. Think about the Cinderella story that women are exposed to today, the Kim Kardashian stuff. Be empty, obnoxious, demanding. Don't be nice. You're actually being trained by generations of girl power to be as obnoxious and entitled as possible, a rich, spoiled brat, and that's your Cinderella model. At least the old Cinderella model seemed like a nice girl, even though she was a princess. She wanted it all, but at least she acted in a way to get a guy to think, well, I like everything else about it. Yeah, she's expensive, but okay, I've got the money to pay for it. At least she was worth buying if you had the money. Even if you had the money today, it's like they are selling themselves by being obnoxious. It's like, love me, a-hole. I'm great. What's wrong with you? It's stupid. It's like the worst way to sell a product is like throw stones at someone and say, love me. Love me. And then when you retort and say, how can anyone love you? Be responsible. Shut up. Then all of a sudden, boo-hoo, childhood trauma. I'm like this. I've been diagnosed with ABC. It's like, yeah, okay, you've got an answer for everything. Try it on someone else. As I think Quasimandias mentioned last week, the ability to walk away or walk away as soon as you see the reality of what's there, not excuse it. And if you suspect someone's acting badly, like you get that feeling, this is the thing, guys don't trust their intuition enough, their feelings enough, because I think, oh, this girl stuff, feelings. You feel bad in a situation. If you get frozen, a woman puts you on the spot, or there's something unfair and all of a sudden you freeze and your hard drive gets rebooted, listen to that, investigate why you feel like that. Did they say something you didn't like? There's nothing wrong with saying, what do you mean by that? If a woman says something that kind of seems like a warning sign. Instead of going, ugh, I didn't like that, but I'll be quiet because I don't want an argument with her. Have the argument. That's truth. That's honesty. It's like, that's you exposing what's real. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I think this. The inability for guys to speak up is the biggest factor, because when we keep our mouths shut, we are worried about something that will not occur. What is actually going to happen to you? What are you afraid of if you speak up and talk about what you believe in, or speak up and say no? Guys talk about it all the time in the manosphere. the overcoming just this simple mechanism of saying no to mummy. This is what guys need to overcome. That Freudian kind of a resistance to just that reflex. She says something, you don't agree. No. Or let me think about it. Can you wait? I don't know. She loves something. You don't go, yeah, I love it too. It's like, yeah, it's okay, but it's not my thing. What's so bad, guys, honestly, about voicing you as an individual separate from her? So many guys lose themselves. It's like, I have to be one. So you become as bad as these agreeable women. Put on a mask just to be with her. The videos I made about women putting on a mask is what frustrated me the most, is the lie of putting on an agreeable mask because you don't want a person to leave. But you're not having a real relationship. You are intentionally waiting for it to fall apart, rather than being the best caretaker of what you have and being honest and real in front of the person. Sorry, I've ignored some of the comments. Hey, Quaz. He says, the thing that scares me now is that even basic conversation requires a vetting where you must pass a purity test before the conversation even starts. All tribes are doing this, yeah. I kind of noticed that, and that's when I got rid of the MGTOW moniker. I want to talk with people that address me as that I'm aware that this is part of my vetting process. Is like, okay, I don't have that in front of me. That's not my greeting card, MGTOW. Yeah, we can talk to each other, and we can talk that, yeah, I've got a lot of, I abide by a lot of the lifestyle I believe in, a lot of the principles, I believe in what it was. But if I can actually talk to the individual, that's who you're actually having a relationship with. You're not having a relationship with the politic of people. You are essentially in your own proximal life having a relationship with the person in front of you, with the woman in front of you, with your friends in front of you. You can only be present with who and what is in front of you, what you're interacting with. You can conceptually be aware of the future, reflect on the past, or in this moment talk about what is happening now in the world as a concept. But what touches you in a tactile way, what you can touch in a tactile way is, yeah, that vetting process. But I don't think there's anything too bad about it. But you're right, Quaz. I think now we have to do it almost in a laughable, childish way. Do I really need to vet a person to such a degree, whereas our forefathers didn't have to? There was social vetting, so when you actually met someone, you didn't really have to interrogate with a couple of questions to realize this. Okay, you passed the baseline. People were actually raised to and insisted to have a baseline. Sam says, do you do live streams? Yeah, what do you call this? I'm pretty sure this is a live stream. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm older, but I don't think I'm that out of touch. Feral Male says, fairy tales are for women and girls. Most of the plot revolves around the female lead. The prince is hardly in the picture. Well, look, to be fair, any protagonist, even if it's a male, he's the central character, and the woman who comes in is also an addition. But yeah, women's fairy tales. What's very telling in women's fairy tales is like the lack of reality. What I find disappointing in today's movies, that I can barely watch any of them. They don't have any story, no character development, no basic beginning, middle, and end. Things don't stitch together. They're just cool scenes put together in this kind of quirky hipster way. They break all the rules without, and you could tell the director has no way, they haven't actually, they don't know the basic 101s of storytelling or filmmaking or character development or basing movies on reality. I was talking about this with family and friends this week, where sometimes I say, they used to say in the past, human, just relax, stop being critical of movies, just enjoy it, it's a movie. If it's science fiction, fine, there are parameters by which I can enjoy a science fiction movie. But if you're doing a drama, today what annoys me the most, and I see it on Netflix or movies, is that they try and inject various genres all into one to be cool or to capture more of an audience. So they'll do a drama, and then all of a sudden they'll pull you out of the reality of the movie by adding in a joke over and over again. So now you, like say you watch your streaming service, whether it's like Stan or Netflix or something, and it kind of, when you scroll through the movies, it tells you if this is a thriller or a drama. Now it's like thriller / comedy / drama / horror. It's like, how many things you're going to put together? And then when you watch it, it's just a hodgepodge of a lot of things and not really primarily focused on one thing. And you look at a lot of the great literature, books and stories, they stay in one specific lane and they only introduce a joke or something on the side, but very, very conscious of it not interfering with the main premise, not pulling the person out of the story. It only adds to the central spine of the story. It's not, oh, this would be cool and that'd be cool, and let's add this in. Oh, there's negative space here. Let's fill it in with this thing that will surprise people. It's like, no, they don't pay attention to the whole. Anyway, why did I go off on that tangent? Pete's Fawn. Human, do you vape anything? No. Do my philosophical diatribes suggest that I vape something? Sam says, do you have guests on streams? No, not at the moment, but if I can work out how to do it well without lag, and get it looking like this and sounding like this with this kind of quality, I'll try. But I've looked at it. Hey, James Hamster. Good to see you, man. How you been? Myrtlefoot says, I've never been in a relationship with someone ever, and I'm 59. Yeah, I think I've talked about it before. It's kind of odd to me. My last serious relationship, I was her first serious relationship, and I was in my 40s, early to mid 40s. And I thought that was really odd, because she was fairly outgoing, she traveled a lot, she was very social. That was like, a lot of stuff didn't make sense. So all the lies and why it didn't work made sense from that. But those instincts, trust those, because it's kind of like, this doesn't make sense. And then when you talk to the person, they still can't explain it to you. So make sure you can reconcile why someone may be odd. They might be odd in a justifiable way, but like a lot of things don't add up. My ex definitely had a mask on, kept a lot from me, and things didn't add up. But yeah, it's quite sensible if you've been single for very sensible reasons. You had standards, realistic standards, where you did not want to be with anyone serious unless they met very basic standards. This is a very difficult thing that I can sympathize with many people today, where the basic qualities of human decency and politeness, they're just not there. Like I said, women especially are trained to be obnoxious, and that's how you get the bad boy. You become a bad girl to get the bad boy. I want that exciting life. And then they watch all that's on TV is the reality TV of, Love Island and all these bimbos and bimbettes, brainless, having drama conversation. You watch reality shows where they build things, or cooking shows. Everything's on a stopwatch. All the dramas are heightened. Tension. So basically, a stable relationship which requires what ostensibly looks like boredom is, no one wants that. That's not TV worthy. That's not something binge worthy on Netflix. That's not real. That's not something that will get likes. Basically, if your video resembles something very still, calm, that would have a longevity, think about that as a YouTube video. It will get no likes. It's boring. You want something clickbaity, drama-based, all that. Everyone's going for that. The thing that makes a lot of noise and is the most colorful. Yet that thing is unstable. It's like, in terms of chemistry, it's like a chemical compound that's very unstable, like, radioactive or whatever. So, like, I've mentioned it before, where a lot of the Buddhist and sort of more the spiritual teachings will say, for people especially who think they're going to find themselves traveling, is the best way to get good with yourself is to get bored with yourself. And by that, I'm sure a lot of you know what you mean, is stay still and really learn to appreciate doing nothing, not having that's why the minimalism fad has become popular in the last decade. People intrinsically know that clearing house and minimalizing your life, the clarity of thought by only having a few things to focus on, the hygiene of your life, that kind of clarity with simplicity, everyone knows that's right. Get rid of all the guff, pare it back, and then build up from that, and don't add stuff to clutter your environment with unnecessary stuff. Riff says chasing women is as useful as listening to Dan Andrews. For those people not in Melbourne, Australia, no one knows what Dan Andrews is. Basically our awesome premier of our state. And by awesome, I'm being facetious. He's a moron. Okay, I'm just going through some of the comments. Ralph says, I always poke women with a few times with words and tell them no in a direct and honest way. The mask always falls off as soon after that. I wouldn't say kind of game them, like intentionally poke and prod them to antagonize them in a fake way. Be natural in your conversation. My thing is, more than anything, to get guys to stop censoring themselves, to talk as openly as freely as they would to their friend, with no, yeah, you're respectable, you know how to speak, you've got etiquette, you talk and speak to someone like you would want to be spoken to in a respectful way, but you do not you do not listen to that biology that stops you from speaking because, oh, we don't want the eggs to leave, we don't want women to walk away. Don't listen to that. She is just a human being like you. Arms, legs. Yeah, I know you want her, but she's just another person. She's just a person. She's nothing special. She's just like you. She becomes special when you can be honest and say whatever you want. Then all of a sudden you get along with her and you find you've got no filter. You can say anything. You're as relaxed, open. You tell her about your fears, your fantasies, your quirks, things that other people might raise their eyebrow. You find yourself, you can actually say anything to them, like your family and friends, and you can feel them becoming part of your inner circle because of the honesty in the interaction. That's what you want. You don't want you acting like you've gone to a job where you have to put on a figurative suit and tie and act like a certain way and turn up and at a certain time, clock in, clock out. And if you don't meet your performance review, you're going to get called into the office and reprimanded and you need to perform better. Don't have a relationship like another job. A relationship, I've said it before, look for the quality of friendship in a person. Not that you just get along with them in a way where you can operate and put on a mask, but in a very relaxed way where you don't have to think about how you're acting. You can be cool with a person. Look for the quality of friendship. I think a writer or a philosopher said that. Was it Quasimodo would be able to help me with this. Was it Jung or someone else? I always confuse Jung with someone else. not Nietzsche, Jung and someone else. They were both sort of involved in the area of psychology. But now I even forgot the saying. Good one, human. Am I a replicant? I have seen things you humans wouldn't believe. Tomb of Arminius says the modern female mask is both physical and psychological makeup. There's no guarantee you will ever meet the genuine individual, be it 2, 4, or 10 years. There's no timeline. Again, more incumbent on us to intentionally interrogate when we feel it's needed. Force the mask to come off. And if you can actually see it like this isn't the real person, I keep being honest, and they can't, they won't, they're unable to, they get embarrassed. You could tell that they can't. All you can do is what you can do. And if you're not getting what you feel you should, then be honest about it as well and say, like, I can't because when I ask you this, you're avoiding it. You don't want to talk about it. You contradict yourself. You say one thing, you do something else. You're lying. So don't tolerate. So all you can do is speak up and be honest and force conversation. Force the person to reveal who they are. Force them to come out of their shell in a polite, sympathetic, fun way. But all you can do is what you can do for yourself because you're interested, because you want to. But don't stay quiet and be frustrated with yourself. That's why most of your, if not virtually all of your power comes through what you can do, what you can say, and the actions you take or don't take. Nell says, Human, what do you think of Jordan Peterson's interview on roommates? I haven't seen it, sorry. I've seen the thumbnails, but I haven't watched it. He talks about men needing to step up and how women's standards are not outrageous. I haven't watched it, but I'm trying to guess. The primal standards of women wanting protection and provision and what a woman is, that's never changed, right? That's not outrageous. What is outrageous, and mind you, I haven't seen the interview, and bear in mind, Jordan Peterson is still he's from a generation where women still abided by certain standards. He's been with his wife his whole life. His daughter seems like the family taught her well. She's well adjusted. She's intelligent. So his world and where he grew up, there was a social standard and women had certain rules. What's outrageous is women's nature is what it is. And for men to be with women, there's certain things that men need to be, women need to be certain things. But the outrageous thing today is that women don't. Women they virtually give nothing. They just want everything. They're entitled and they're lazy in relationships. So they want the world more than they did before, and they offer less than nothing in return, except what's between their legs. So what's outrageous is the exchange. Yeah, you don't just want what my grandparents wanted. You want a lot more. You want ridiculous standards, and they're all superficial. None of them are human standards. Then you're not after virtue. You're after very, very shallow things, but you want them 10 times more, almost like a compensation to make yourself feel safe with the person. I want him to be rich because I don't care about his values or his personality or his character traits or who he is. I'm going to overcompensate with safety. Give me safety, 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 safety. And I really don't care who gives it to me. I don't care if the government gives it to me. I don't care whether a faceless man who owns a yacht and a Ferrari gives it to me. I'm going to be good, so at least I'm comfortable. I can watch Netflix with whoever. Yeah, let him take care of me like daddy. So I don't think people are growing up. So I think what's outrageous today is women's standards in terms of what they give compared to what they expect. They give virtually nothing of the former and expect too much of the latter. Remember, guys, questions on the right. Add a whole bunch of emojis. I won't see a question if I don't see a whole bunch of emojis to highlight it for me. How long have we been going for? Just under an hour. Quasimandias says, the purpose of training your rational faculties is to gain permission through experience to trust your intuition. Yeah. It's to give your feelings legs. Like, there's so much bottled up feelings of people censoring themselves because of the environment. The environment tells you, you can't say this, you're going to get cancelled, you're going to lose your job. Women don't want you. You have to say the right things, but you got to say it in the way they want. Even if it doesn't make sense. Even if it crashes against your wall of reason and logic as a man. Like, the ability to go from here to here, or more importantly, as I said, to go from reading to writing to here, which is even better. But the simple ability to go from here, process it, and articulate it in a way. Oh, I need to put the light up. It's getting dark. Is an essential exercise. And guys, men have a natural inclination and ability beyond a woman if you're willing to and interested enough to grab hold of writing, reading, and expression. You know, you what? Don't just be a consumer of entertainment. You watch someone who's articulate. You watch someone who says a brilliant line in a movie, or you read a brilliant phrase. Someone speaks to you like a mentor. It's like, that's brilliant. You read more about them. But start writing down your own thoughts. Try and take something away from that mentoring. Try and lean in the direction of that person you admire, how they speak, how they think, the courage they have. That's where your life's going to be better. James von Maxwell says he might do Blade Runner shorts tonight. That'll be cool. Yeah, James has got one of the biggest mixers I've ever seen. It's so big. I don't know how he actually reaches his camera above it. MGTOW by Logic says the relationship count lies are as common as the body count lies. It's almost like a game people play. When you get into the relationship, you do this fake dance. You're doing the two-step. You know, you're doing this sort of dance. You're not actually just sitting and being real with a person. No. When you're in a relationship, you do a dance. That's the dance you do. It's a very specific one with specific steps that make no sense, but that's the dance that we're all doing now. It's like, no, I enjoy just being with a person. I enjoy spending time with them. No. It's like another job. You have to quack like a duck, walk like a duck, and act like a duck. Did you guys watch Prometheus? I avoided it after reading the reviews. I heard all the negative reviews, but I've watched too many movies in the last few years where the opinion of the public matters nothing. Like, I don't get along with a lot of people. I don't see eye to eye with a lot of the culture at the moment. So why should I listen to their opinion about what's good and bad? There are so many movies. Like, people love the Avengers movies, the Marvel movies. Like, I think they're trash. The Transformers movies. Kim Kardashian's popular too. Should I listen to that? Like, well, that's the gold standard. So again, trust your instinct. Does it look interesting enough to give it a shot? Not, I don't trust my own judgment, as I said in my last video. Start knowing why and how you can trust your own judgment by leaning in its direction to try something, to say something. Not you sit passively until the world or women or someone else pushes your button. That's the only way you're going to animate yourself. No, animate yourself via your instincts and your intuition and what you know to be true. Don't be a button to be pushed. Push your own buttons when you can and where you feel the impulse. Oh yeah, the new Dune movie is about to come out. Dune. Let me read a few more comments from the last few videos. Metatech says on my video about how many lies, my recent video about how many lies can you take before you start listening to yourself. He says, because I said in one of the screens of the video, I said, you stay a child if you don't start speaking up for yourself, if you kind of submit to the construct out there or the marketing. He says, you stay a child and people treat you like a child too. You're giving all the toys of a child. You can eat chocolate cake like a child for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you pay the price that you comfortably stay as a child because you need to stay in that space to be given all the goodies of a child. Do you want to grow up, but you got to let go of some of your toys? That's the question. Melee N for the same video says, the truth is ugly. We do not have real, raw, authentic conversations. We do facade conversations. Yes, no more so than people when they're on dates. It used to be that there would be a nervousness, but you would be polite. It wouldn't necessarily be fake surface. It would be you having etiquette, being, turning up the volume on your niceness, but not being fake. Now it is literally leaning in the direction of fakeness. You hide who you are because people are like, no one could ever love me. No one could ever like me. I'm not showing that. The whole point of finding someone you're compatible with is you rip that band-aid off, speak and show exactly who you are. In a respectful way. You don't kind of shock them with like, oh, let me tell you the trauma I experienced as a child in the first 5 minutes. People's inability to sort of have tact and know what to vet out over time, when to trust, know how trust is developed. It's almost like people want to love and trust someone, so they force it. Like I'll give everything and I'll expose myself before it's safe because I deeply want that feeling to occur. I want to be in love. So, by God, I'm going to make it happen with this person I just met without seeing if I can trust them to do so. Wayne M says on the video of mine, the video I made said the real reason women don't look for nice guys. I think just one of the things I mentioned in that video was women expect guys to be nice. They know guys like them. Guys are going to try and be nice if they want to get into their pants. So they don't actually look for it because it's already there. Most guys that want to impress them, even the bad boy, the cad, he's charming. So he's nice in a non-fearful way, that he's not afraid to poke fun at her. So women expect the guy to impress them for a woman to say yes. So they don't look for it. It's already there. And Wayne says, here's a question. Do women expect kindness from each other in the same way that they expect it from nice guys? No. That might actually be a factor, that nice guys remind her of something she's familiar with. The cattiness and the way women haze each other and manipulate and don't care about the other person's feelings. It's familiar. Oh, I recognize this feeling of this bad guy. I had this feeling in the schoolyard with the girls. We used to poke fun at each other. We didn't care psychologically about it. We actually got off on psychological manipulation. This feels familiar. True North affirmations on my recent video, how many lies can you take before you start listening to yourself? He says, stronger minds men. That doesn't make sense. He says stronger minds men means stronger lives. Okay. Benjamin says, what's the difference between withholding the truth and lying? Nothing. Never let anyone try to shame you for your desire for knowledge and truth. Yeah. Never shut your mouth. Just learn to speak respectfully. Know how to use words where appropriate. It's why these thesaurus exists. You can pick a synonym for one word. You can use one word that's very forceful and blunt and almost rude that you can use to someone who knows you, or you can use the same word in a softer, more respectful, subtle way to say the same thing to someone you may not know. So this is why it's the lost art of reading and writing and knowing how to speak and use a different synonymous word for, words you want to place in a sentence. That art form's lost. And so people just stay quiet and quiet and quiet. Eric K says, I had a relatively recent relationship with someone who became increasingly apathetic. Yeah, this is for regarding my recent video of should you chase her if she leaves. This happened in my last relationship where I felt like I was chasing the relationship and her and providing all the time and effort, and virtually nothing was coming back to me. If I didn't make every effort from going to her house, engaging again, saying, okay, let me try again. She's in this mood. She just kept withdrawing and leaving the relationship to the point where she wasn't even there. And it was virtually like I had to leave to make it official. Eric says, I had a relatively recent relationship with someone who became increasingly apathetic. There was no explanation for her appearing to be bored with me. Verbal communication became sparse over time. Yep, happened to me too. She was very talkative at the start, fell off. Virtually all the reasons why I found her interesting disappeared, and I realized that it was a mask, or she was just being agreeable or mimicking me the best way she could at the start. He says, so I sent an email to her asking what was wrong. I was surprised by a lengthy response criticizing me in a multitude of ways. This is from someone who would never lift a finger to support me. I simply sent her a note saying that we are no longer a couple. I have no regrets except that I should have ended it sooner. It sounds like my story, man. I agree. I concur. I have no regrets. I tried and tried. Sounds like you're in a similar boat. Know thyself. Do everything you can, because you don't want to leave a relationship or you don't want it to end and have sleepless nights and regrets in the future. Do good by yourself. It's not necessarily for her. It's for you. Some people misread when I kind of talk about women, and I might kind of be, I'm not harsh on women because all of it is up to you. The degree to which most women treat you badly, especially how much you tolerate, and if you stay in a relationship, it's. I agree with Paul Elam on this. In that context, there are very, very few victims, and virtually all of us are enablers, or as he puts it, volunteers. One Green Mitzi said to my video, should you chase her if she leaves? He says, chasing skirts is a young man's game. That was a saying. It is. It's chasing women is a young man's game. So I think you get older, you realize it's what am I chasing? The whys and the reason behind why you do things should start to come to the forefront of your life. If you're my age and you're still operating as an 18 or 20-year-old man, how many kicks to the groin do you need? James A, for the same video, should you chase her if she leaves? He says, Women love the honeymoon phase because it's a time where they can pretend to be whatever she wants to be to get whatever she wants. After that, when those women are tasked with accountability for their shortcomings and or responsibility to actually contribute to another person in order for that relationship to evolve, they can't do it. But instead of working on themselves or admitting that they are in fact inadequate and unworthy of an actual relationship, they simply choose to start over with a new guy, a new honeymoon, where she doesn't have to face the fact that she's inadequate. Bravo. It's similar to, I think about, I've made a few videos where I think most women pretend to want and have love affairs and be in committed relationships where all they're doing is they're in holiday mode. They are going on trips pretending that I could live here, I love this place, I could live here, and after a week or two, or extended to a relationship after a few months or however long the honeymoon lasts, is this holiday is boring, I want to go somewhere else. But they believe their own BS, and because they're not self-reflective, they've got no interest in self-reflection, because the world's a candy store for women, no more so than today. And so rather than facing reality, because reality is boring, I want it to be exciting. I want surprises. I don't want predictability. So I'll move to another musical chair where it's new again. She's a shopper. Oh, she wants another pair of shoes. After the honeymoon period if it's a pair of shoes, it's not, I'll fix the shoes, I'll clean them, I'll treat them well. It's like, I'm bored of them. They're dirty. I'm going to buy another new pair. I feel good with the new. I think also new, women are used to the cycle with their period and everything. They're much more used to cycles. The renewal, the rebirth is very prominent with women. Men don't have rebirth. We have it very infrequently, like, you want to call it a midlife crisis. I had a point in my middle age where I kind of woke up and I no longer wanted to be a lot of what I was. But that's a very conscious philosophical cycle. I think philosophers call it, like, there's usually 2 deaths in a man's life. The first one is during midlife, and the second one is, when your life ends, when the grave comes. Ricky says, a woman isn't any special until a man or men show interest in her. Other than that, she is like a tree that has fallen in the forest with no one to witness it. Ralph says, yes, I agree. I only poke when I sense something might be wrong. It's a gut feeling thing. Yes, we should trust our instincts, or at least voice whatever we want. Why not just say what you feel? Why? Tell me. Because it's a chick thing? That's slick marketing to keep you suffering in the future because you never open your mouth. And generally because men should have, and are more hardwired to care about thinking, and even just kind of about safety and being responsible for their lives. If you don't care, no one will. If you don't care about opening your mouth, she's not. She's only going to care about opening her mouth for her own needs. So really, can you really be annoyed later on? Where it's like, can you believe she did this? Yeah, because you kept your mouth shut. Can you believe I forgave her this many times? It's like, yeah, and she kept doing it. I think we're just embarrassed a lot of the times how long we kept things going. There's 2 steps, One is you keep going out with the same women who are warning signs that end up like the other women that you weren't compatible with and that were train wrecks. You keep accepting them, hoping that'll be different when you know most likely they won't. Secondly, when they show themselves to be like the last one, you keep hoping and saying, well, maybe if I just stay silent, she'll magically turn into a unicorn. No. Quasimandias says, nah, the mask comes off the second you can't escape. If you want to play that game, always have an escape route. Quasimandias has a boat. That is an ultimate escape route. See you later. I wonder how many women have come back to where you once had your boat docked and you're not there. Okay, we've got about around 200 people on at the moment. Just over 200. Jeff says, would you consider marrying a woman that is 24 years younger than you that holds you up as her top priority? She's Filipina and WR have an incredible connection. Oh, we have an incredible connection. That was a typo. Kind of when someone asks me a really important question that you should know, like I can't tell you that. If you're asking me, it means you've got doubts. Or are you asking on behalf of a friend? I think we need to get to the point that these important questions, we can ask theoretical conversations or just touch on little issues we're having problems with. That is a big, like I can't tell you whether you should or shouldn't do that. That's a very big no going back from point in your life that you should know. I can't answer that question. This is why I say we need to get better at knowing. Like I could never ask that question of any person. That's a very personal question. That's one of the biggest decisions you'll ever personally make in your life. We need to get to the point where you don't need to ask the question to someone. And I'm not belittling you. It's a very important one, but that's a very important one you need to internalize and process yourself. I don't know what she's like. I don't know what you're like. I don't know your relationship. I haven't been a fly on the wall for the months or years you've been together. I don't know anything. I can only give a glib answer from a very naive point of view. Sorry. Schlitz Maltz Liquor, thank you for the super chat donation. His comment is, my life is over half over. My son is 18. These young men are having a rough go of it. I do what I can to advise and prepare him. Yeah, good. At least men are there's still men that are mentoring other men, their sons. This is what women don't do. Their lives aren't going to be better because the older women can never say, look, young girl, don't do this. You're acting the wrong way. Don't believe the girl power stuff. I made your mistake. I believe this rubbish. Be better. Don't be like me. Women don't do that. Men do. And what women do is they won't admit fault. They won't say, sorry, they were never wrong. It's still men's fault. They're not self-reflective. Yeah, see me? I'm an example why men suck. Look at me. I kept failing at my relationships. I'm still single. I'm brilliant. Look at me. I'm so fantastic. And I can't find a man. How ridiculous. Like, I'm amazing and I can't work out why I can't find a man. Why no man will tolerate me. I know why. Because he's intimidated. It is so ridiculous how much up your own butt you are that people don't realize how wonderful I am. Like, everyone can't get along with me. But me, in my little world, it's the world's fault. It's not me. Why won't you love me? No one will love me. It's your fault. If I made a movie as a director and no one watched it, everyone thought it was trash, no one liked it, I could arrogantly get up online and say, that was the best movie ever. You're all wrong. This is what women are doing. Men have to approach women and want them. We don't, and they refuse to be wantable or care what standards we have, what we want. I don't care what you want. Love me. I'm great. I think I'm great. I delusionally think I'm great. Keep thinking you're great. You're just lucky your cats can't speak back and they have nowhere to go because you're feeding them. Polska Bob, thank you for the super chat donation. His comment is, here's some monies, hamster and I are huge fans. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Polska. Yeah, smash the like button, ladies and gents. Doesn't cost you anything. And for all you guys who give me a super chat and do donate, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Support the channel any way you want. Free or not free. When is your chat, James? Let me know. I might tune in, given the time. Okay. Any final questions, guys? If not, I'll start heading for the finish line of this stream. Particularly about what you guys thought or any insights or experience you had on my last couple of videos. How many lies can you take before you start trusting yourself? And the other one is about should you really chase a woman if she always is leaving, but she blames you for not stopping her? Like it's your... You hear... I remember I used to hear it when I was younger that the etiquette for a gentleman is if you've had an argument, even if it's her fault, you should be the first one to call and apologize, even if you did nothing wrong, because that's what a gentleman does, because she's too shy, and it shows gentlemanly behavior. And I can't. To me, it just shows that I can't count on this person to be with me. I can't count on her to do the right thing. That's what it shows to me. It's not that I want to make her feel uncomfortable, but, oh, mate, think about how much of a unicorn that is, hearing a woman say, my bad, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I did that wrong. Yeah, that was my fault. For any ladies wanting to make a channel out there, if you make a channel admitting how wrong you are, like, oh yeah, I was wrong here. Oh, I'm sorry. I learned this. Yeah, I did the wrong thing here. You would be one of the most popular channels and refreshingly different to most women out there. Cool, James. I'll check it out. So yeah, guys, any last questions? Ask them in an emoji. Otherwise, I'll start wrapping it up. Feral Android, thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. And also for any of you guys, because I forgot to read out Donna's comment. She kind of, I think she left a comment where my stream jumped, so I couldn't go back any further. It was in that pocket of comments. Karu, how are you, man? That's actually a good observation. Karu says the individual that apologizes first is the one that really cares about the relationship. Or, yeah, I would agree. But also, it shows a lot that the person who actually apologizes is the one who was at fault too. So it could kind of happen if the person who apologizes immediately is the one who actually is in the wrong. That's one thing. But also, if, for instance, like with guys, and I've done it in the past, where I apologize because I want to extend the first olive branch to say, look, I want to get past this. Let me admit, okay, I shouldn't have reacted to your, so for instance, my ex, there was a situation where she was being obnoxious and rude and uncaring, and she wouldn't listen to me and she wouldn't act like a decent person. And I just kind of lost my cool and I got annoyed at her. And then she followed on from that. But she started the process, and I'm not being childish, she was being very obnoxious and very, very rude to me. And I kind of said, look, I want to discuss this. So to have this this discussion, I want us to talk about this. She's being quiet. Let me extend the first olive branch. I started by saying, look, sorry how it turned out. I'm sorry about what I said after you did or said blah, 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 to start the conversation. So I cared about us, yeah, and I wanted to resolve it. But it says a lot about the person if they can really admit their faults, especially with guys. I'm pretty sure I'm not alone when guys in the workplace or with your friends, when there's a group of guys and one guy puts his hand up and says, yeah, that was my fault, I'm responsible for that. Guys have a lot of respect. We trust that guy straight away. He goes up in our ranking, where someone could admit where they're at fault, where they could have every reason and they could very easily not say a thing and they would never be found out that they were wrong. But the fact that they wanted to show you like, no, that was me, my fault, I own it. It's like that guy goes up the hierarchy of like, I can trust this guy more than, if I'm unsure of all the guys in my group and one of them stands out by saying, yeah, I did the bad thing, but I fully admit I did it wrong, that guy goes up in our hierarchy above everyone else. For women, it seems counterintuitive. It's like, but he did the wrong thing. Yes, but the rest of the people, you're kind of on the same level of vagueness. Yeah, they're cool guys, but this guy shows me that he can be completely honest with me. Celestial Woodway, thank you for the super chat donation. His comment is, dated a woman who got angry that I was not jealous. What's that about? Yeah, I've had that. Not so much angry, but she got really annoyed at me. I had, I think a couple of exes say that because I don't get jealous, it shows that I don't care. And I think it's like completely stupid. I think, why should I be jealous? I have no reason to be jealous. If you're going to cheat on me, you're going to do it anyway. So I don't care. Do it if you want. But then it's over. So there's no reason to. And also if I'm jealous, I'm anxious. If a woman requires you to be jealous, I can't do it. Some guys find it endearing. Or I think it's because she gets jealous. She's not sure of how her feelings are. She worries that she doesn't believe in herself. She's not good enough, whatever it might be. So she's worried you're the same. You feel the same as her. You don't believe in yourself. You're worried that she can find better. And you're both playing that game of trying to keep each other from leaving. I think that's what it is. It touches on my last video. I've made a few videos where you have to constantly game and date your girlfriend even after she might become your wife or a serious relationship. The anxiety of keeping the person from leaving. I never want to be in that. I don't actually feel good in a relationship if I'm still in that mode. The initial, I don't know her quite yet. I'm not sure what she's about. She may leave. You want the security. So I think that's about a lot of insecurity. Women who require you to be jealous as proof of love. I can't do it. You want to play that game? I don't think you can trust a person like that. Why do I need to be jealous? Like similarly, women don't like you being jealous. If you don't trust them, that's what that is. If you're jealous, you don't trust them. Look, there's the other thing too. If your girl's always going out with guys, then you start that's another issue entirely. Why do you need to constantly go to clubs or whatever, to singles places with other guys? I've mentioned this before where I had an ex over a decade ago, where she wanted to go out with the girls to bars and clubs, to singles places without me. And I'm saying why do you, I don't mind you catching up with your friends and whatever, but why do you need to go to singles places without me? You don't want me there. And she's like, oh, you don't trust me. It's like, okay. Because I had to show her the disrespect it might be showing me is like, okay, I'm going to go out with my sleazebag friend to strip clubs and to bars as well. And she knew my friend was a sleazebag, and we're going to go. And then I had to actually show her from my point of view. There's a level of respect. You don't actually want to go to singles places away from your partner. I'm not going to stop you, go. But I'm going to start doing the same thing too. If I'm in love with someone, I don't want to go to places where I'm flirting with girls. Girls are coming on to me. I've got the opportunity to flirt with other girls as well. If I'm going to go to those places and if I want to have fun, I don't care if my partner comes with me. I want her to come with me if she wants. But I don't say, no, you can't come because we want to flirt and be with the guys and pretend to be single. It's like, why do you need to go there with your girls? Why is that the only place you go? And also, her friends, they cheated on their boyfriends a lot, and my partner told me about it. So how do we get into that topic? Basically, look, I think if you care about your partner, say if they've got concerns, like legitimate ones, like, I don't like you, because for me, I don't like her going off somewhere in a singles place, guys hitting on her, and me not being there to protect her if she gets in trouble. If she's out in public with her friends normally, like, it's kind of like the level of protection is very low. Like, but when you're at a bar, you got a lot of guys, and if her girls want to flirt, do what you want. But later on, if it's like, oh, I was drunk and this guy kissed me, it's like, I don't care. You have shattered a lot of trust I have with you. And if there becomes a distance between us because you refuse to acknowledge that you could be in a situation where that could happen, a guy could come onto you, he could try and kiss you. You're placing yourself in that environment. Why do you actually want to be there flirting with other guys? Even though it's fun, you're not going to do anything. Yeah, I can trust you. But the moment that happens, it's like, okay, a guy's kind of kissing my girl. All right. Like, you've kind of come down, not because you've done anything, but because you allowed yourself, like you put yourself in an environment where I didn't want you to be in this first place. I couldn't be there. You didn't let me. And now you let yourself be used by a guy because you couldn't stop it. I don't know. It's about a level of respect. If your partner kind of sensibly says, look, if we're a committed couple, there's like, you might want to have freedoms you had when you're a single, but now you don't have certain freedoms. That's basically it. Like, if you can't let go of anything in your past, like, where does it stop? Do I kind of say, well, I still want to be able to have affairs with other women too? How far does your freedom extend? Hey, Mr. Highway. How you going? He says the only reason this space exists is because men can't accept that relationships are over. They watch these videos while they negotiate with themselves. Logically, they know dating is dead, but they can't let go. They can't trust their own judgment. Like, they get in front of a girl and they want it to be true. Rather than sort of saying, no, not true, not true. This one keeps proving the reality it's not true. I think men are the romantics, not women. Just the guy says, the most considerate apologize first. That doesn't mean you are afraid of breaking up with the person. That's a very good saying. I'm going to pin that comment. That's a really good comment, just the guy. The most considerate apologize first, and that does not mean you're afraid of breaking up with your person. It's the right thing to do because you care about the space of the relationship. It means something. Honesty should be an ingredient you're constantly putting into your. I would say honesty and open communication, and you just voicing what is open and honest for you to say, is the sole ingredient that will in the recipe that will keep it going. Karu says, and by extending the olive branch, you showed that you cared more about what you have, even if you were not in the wrong. Do you want a relationship, or do you want to be right? Yeah, that's a good point. I've heard it expressed in another way, in general, in life. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? If you want to be happy, you do what needs to be done, but not where you're expected to apologize as though it was your fault. You can start the conversation, even though you got no reason to. It's like, I did nothing wrong objectively. If I was an observer, I did nothing wrong. She should be the one apologizing, but let me start the conversation. Let me be mature about it and allow her to get out of her childish stance of holding her breath. Because I care about us, and ostensibly, like up until now, I care about the relationship. Let me be kind to us. And if she doesn't give a crap, it shows a lot. Do you want to be right, or do you want a relationship? Do you want to be happy, or do you want to be right? Any final questions, guys? Let's wrap it up in a moment. US Earth Sign Supremacy says, human, let's say she puts herself in that position by going to the bar, but nothing happens. How is your view of her affected then? Nothing really, but it's always kind of, for me, it kind of shows if you know your partner has a sensible, not a childish reason by which they want to kind of protect and take care of the relationship. It's like, don't put yourself there. That environment is really, really bad. Your girlfriends, the guys coming onto you, drunks. It's a single scene. That's the environment. Sensibly, it's not that I'm going to stop her going. It's how little they care about us. It's like, whatever, if I decide I just want to live this single part of my life, and I want to shove her to the side like she doesn't exist for a moment, because I want to have my life with my friends as a single guy. It's different if you say, come along. I'm going out with the girls, come if you want. But if you're excluded, I suppose it's the degree to which you're excluded in a relationship. If you have to compartmentalize yourself. Look, it's up to you guys, but you got to have standards. Again, I appreciate individual freedom, but also I also know, why do I need this part of my life? Why do I need to hide this part of my life to the person I say I care about, and then I complain that there's something missing, or I can only be with her, I can only be myself 30% of the time. If you're basically limiting, if you're trying to live separate lives, that's the thing I find. And also, like, let's put it in a different way. Say, from my point of view, say, for instance, I wanted to go out and get drunk with my mates. The consequences of doing that disrespect my partner, my girl. I'm getting locked up. I'm throwing up. I get home late. I stink of beer. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't care about the effects of it later with her. I'm not doing my best to care about the hygiene of our relationship. I'm not like, if you accidentally get into trouble, that's different. But if you're willfully testing your relationship, like not caring enough that you don't expose it to those areas in life where there's a high chance of something going wrong, even if you don't mean it to, then it just shows how little you care. Yeah, nothing might happen, but if you know your partner feels nervous or is worried about you, or they might trust you, but you keep placing yourself and the relationship at risk, if something happens, it's like, well, if you didn't go, it wouldn't have happened. And there was a high chance that this could happen, and it finally did. You can try and forgive them, but there's part of you that knows the reality. If someone keeps drinking and saying, "Oh, I can handle my drink, don't worry, you don't I can drive," and then they get into an accident, it's like, well, you didn't want to stop drinking. Yeah, you might have got unlucky. Maybe you can handle your drink, but what happened was an inevitable was a consequence of what probably can happen if you keep drinking. Again, I'm not saying that, like, I don't want to stop anyone doing what they want, but if you find someone that doesn't respect the hygiene of your relationship, and especially if you've got something you really say, "Babe, please, I prefer if you didn't do this. I don't like. I trust you, but why do you need to do this, or why do you need to do that?" It's up to you guys. Like, but you're going to get the consequences of what you allowed. But also speak up about it. Like, I prefer you didn't do what you want, but I don't feel comfortable. Or if you really want to make a point, say, "Okay, I'll do the same thing." And it's childish to kind of go, "Okay, let me be childish as well. Let me just do the same thing because I have to show you what it feels like." You go out with your girlfriends to a singles place. I'll go out with my mates and we'll get drunk and we'll go to strip clubs. Oh, my sweetheart, I'm going to go to the prostitutes with my friend. He's going to go because he's single, but I won't. I'm going to sit and chat with the hookers. We're going to play pool. I'm not going to touch them, I promise, but I'm going to be there with these strippers and hookers. My friend is going to sleep with them, but I'm not. You can trust me. Trust me, but what if something happens one day? What if the stripper jumps me? Well, I don't know. You know what I mean? Just the disrespect. Why am I on this topic? Like, I don't really care. It's happened once to me in the past, but it didn't affect me in a big way. I just think it's respect or disrespect. And I don't think don't pretend to respect and love your partner when you're doing something that's kind of doesn't seem very respectful to me, especially if you voice like I'm not comfortable with it. Not answering political questions, guys. Don't really care very much. I don't have much to say other than I'm going to say something that everyone else says. Okay, final questions and let's wrap it up. Just the guy says, "I ultimately chose the truth over being happy, if that means I should do something against my principles." All right, guys, let's wrap it up. This was a nice... so last week I went over, a fair bit over. I like to keep it between 1.5 to 2 hours max. And yeah, it seems like James is going to have his stream, so jump onto James's stream after this one. Show him some love. I might drop in as well, if I can. Yeah, James says, yeah, the trust me phrase is a one-way street. Just the women expect you to trust them. Doesn't work the other way. Yeah, it's funny when you kind of go, yeah, well, I want to do something that I know is just very selfish and it makes you uncomfortable, but trust me, or just be quiet with you. Like, it's like almost shaming the person to be quiet because you want to do what you want. Men's Health Space says, both partners have a responsibility for themselves and the relationship, or no relationship. I actually think you both, there's three parties in a relationship, you, her, and it. And you both have to care about it. The most natural way is people who want to have kids, you have a kid and that's the it that you care about. That's the third thing in a relationship that you both commonly care about and you take care of. When you're just with someone, if you don't have kids, I think you both need to really take care of the relationship as a third party. Like that's the space that you keep really well and you respect. It's not about, you respect yourself, you respect the other person, but I think the main thing that you take yourself out of, it's not about you, is you take care of the relationship space. It's not about you, it's about both of you. You have to take care of that actual place. If you don't, if it's just the person doing what they want, it's not a relationship. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. This was a good stream. Thank you everyone for showing up. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And thanks for everyone. Bye, guys.